In the American criminal justice system, a defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in the court of law.
I don't know why I keep coming back to this, but I do. And I keep ruling him out just because he seems dumb as hell, and that's Garett Kirts. I mean, he does not exactly seem like a rocket scientist, but what if he was just really lucky, man? Because what are the odds? Like Murphy's Law, man. Like, what are the odds that Ron Logan just so happened to have two murderers on his property during the same rough time period? Ron Logan is like the most unlucky dude ever.
It was really close. You know, it wasn't really thought out, pointing that he's kind of a dumb criminal.
Yeah, no, he's definitely dumb. I don't think anyone's disputing the fact that he's a dumbass. He is everything that he's ever done has not been very bright. But I think there's a lot of things that say a lot of that he wasn't premeditated, but to a point, I think some of the things were. So I think Ray, his murder, I think was premeditated. And I don't for a second believe that Garett Kirts was bisexual or gay. I don't. I just don't. I believe that they did this to rob him. And I think that it doesn't take long for someone to really look at that to realize, you know, I mean, if it really was an accident, you know, by misadventure, then they would have called 911. They wouldn't have robbed the guy. So he was murdered intentionally to get his money off him, and then Garett just randomly kills her. There's more to this, and I just want. It's kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, man. It's sad that the reason that we know about this is because of Delphi, and that if it wasn't because of Delphi, that specifically Ray, you know, no one would even know, and that Garett could possibly slide with a 45-year plea deal on murdering an innocent girl. It's just glad we got to talk about this. Very.
Why would he torture and murder Nicole Bowen? What could have been so bad? What was the motive of this? This is extreme. And what bothers me a lot too is not when we have somebody that murders someone. I mean, that can happen for various reasons. People do it. But when you're looking at someone being charged with torturing and murdering someone, and especially if I get the feeling there was some kind of restraints used, I mean, that's a whole new level. That's just not a murder. That's a horrific, torturous murder.
The third search took place in Lebanon, which I think one of the suspects or one of the suspects' friends that we were talking about last week, Garett Kirts, was from Lebanon, which is not. So this says, my notes say 54 miles is the fastest route, and so this would be an hour and 6-minute drive from the bridge. I do want to point out with the Lebanon search, the papers were saying that they were uncertain of the exact date that the search warrant was executed, uncertain of the exact address known, which makes me wonder if it is in fact connected to the Delphi murders or if it was just a search that was executed and people's minds were filling in the blanks and that's what they came up with. But
on March 29th, 2019, a murder occurred in Kentland, about 49 miles from Delphi, that was of interest to those following the Delphi case. Garett Kirts, age 21, was arrested and charged with the murder of a 30-year-old mother of two named Nicole Bowen. Kirts had dated Bowen in the past. He had arranged for his current girlfriend, Ashley Garth, age 26, of Delphi, to meet up with Nicole Bowen at a trailer park so that the two women could fight it out. Sure enough, the two women apparently became physical, and Kirts intervened by putting Bowen into a chokehold, rendering her unconscious. He then proceeded to tie her up, strangle her with an electrical cord, and suffocate her with a plastic bag taped over her head until she died. There were 3 female witnesses to this murder, including Ashley Garth. Kirts then called a male friend, who helped him hide the body, taped up inside a blanket, in a hunting shack in a rural area, where it was discovered by the property owner on March 30th. What does all this have to do with Abby and Libby? Any connection is purely speculation. But Garett Kirts, who would have been 19 at the time of the murders in Delphi, resembles the Delphi killer in the minds of many members of the public. Based on his social media posts, in February 2017, Garett Kirts shared the same physique as the man on the bridge, with a heavy-set frame. Whether or not he resembles the sketch is a matter of debate, but Kirts also has some ties to Delphi, which is an hour's drive from his home in Lebanon. Kirts' girlfriend Ashley is from Delphi, and there is some indication that Kirts has spent time on or near Ron Logan's property and that he has some connection to the Logan family. A post on Kirts' Facebook page shows a photo of an Appaloosa horse that has identical markings to a horse on Ron Logan's farm, as shown in an interview on Inside Edition. If it is indeed the same steed, then this confirms that Kirts has been on Ron Logan's property. Garett Kirts is being held pending trial for Nicole Bowen's murder. The prosecutor has stated that he intends to pursue life without parole for Kirts, based on evidence that Bowen's death involved torture. Whether Kirts had any involvement in the deaths of Abby and Libby remains unknown.
Kirts, somebody's asking. See, Garett Kirts is this guy that everybody's talking about now, and there's a lot of this. Everybody goes, "Oh, he knew Ron." Garett Kirts is actually in jail right now.
Did he kill somebody in Lebanon?
Yeah, it was a murder, right? So the thing is, but then somebody's saying that he actually knew Ron Logan really well, and he knew the whole property. And that at that point, it is kind of crazy. But who has any proof of that? See, all we ever hear is people say stuff, and then you go, "Oh yeah." But I want to hear Ron Logan say out loud. If he says out loud, Garett Kirts knows his property really well, he's been here a million times, I would be like, okay, that's interesting, right? But at the same time, if people just say it, it doesn't mean anything. I just don't. You got to have the proof, or it doesn't mean anything. And that was one of the questions I asked. That was the dumb question that I asked Carter. I said, "Hey, is there any truth to Garett Kirts knowing Ron Logan?" And then, "Oh yes, Gray, boy, we're going to tell you right away." Forget it.
That's what I think a lot of us are so confused on as to why there are no charges on him against Ray in any form. He has admitted to killing him. He says it was an accident. Here we know he is a known liar. He also said that was an accident too. It was a girl fight gone wrong, blah, blah, blah. The series of unfortunate events of Garett Kirts, and everything else appears to be everybody else's fault. Of the abuse against animals. His dad is been arrested for Holly the horse. I mean, it's just like, series of unfortunate events of the makings of a serial killer. Check all the boxes. I know a lot of people don't think that Garett was gay. I personally think that he was, and I think that a lot of his insecurities stem from that. He could not be who he truly was because of just the way rural Indiana is, the, toxic masculinity. I hear my kids talking about that. Well, I don't really buy into it completely. In some senses, that toxic masculinity is very true, and I think it fits with him of you are expected to be A, B, C, and D, but you're not. To me, his whole Facebook page, which, he just pretty much lays out his every day-to-day life, and you can literally tell from when he was in jail and when he wasn't, just from his Facebook page. He is clearly trying to make it appear that he is this tough guy, this macho, beat everybody up, redneck, farm boy, breaker of horses, get all the chicks, But yet when you look under the surface, and even just with the memes, like, you see this insecure little boy, to me anyway, that has an identity crisis. FBI profiler would say about, you start with abusing animals. I don't know, that's just my thoughts on it. It just seems like if you can hurt a domestic animal that is dependent on you repeatedly and with different animals, why are we shocked that he killed 2 people and strangled another, and who knows what else the kid has done? Why are we surprised? It's not shocking.